Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk about 7 effective steps to create your content marketing strategy. Stop! Wait a minute. No, just kidding. But seriously, if you haven't taken a look at these strategies that you need to in order to put together your content marketing, whether you haven't a strategy already, just take a look and it might actually change up things of what you're doing and putting together. So the first thing that we always want to start with, right? What is your end goal? What is your complete goal of your content marketing strategy? And we start with this goal on purpose, because if we work backwards, it's extremely important to understand that everything we're doing, even to the minutia, is going towards our goal. Because if it's not, then why are we doing it? Right? So always going back to that why. Why are we doing things? Well, if we can't track it, we're not going to understand it. And if we're not understanding it, we know it's not going towards our goal. So the first thing you always want to start with is your goal. But here's the issue. So many organizations and brands out there think that their end goal for content marketing should be delivering leads and growing the entire organization's revenue. Yes, that is a goal, but it is not the end goal. So here's why. Because if you're everything that you're writing, right, and you're putting out there as far as content or videos, if your end goal is to get in leads and to produce revenue, then every single thing that you're writing becomes marketing and sales copy. And we don't want that from your content marketing strategy. What we want is to deliver value, which, we keep saying. But to deliver value, it needs to be content that is informative, right? Or entertaining, or both. You can do both, right? So keep that in mind as you're putting your end goal together, because ultimately what's going to happen when you put your strategy together, your content is going to be informative and entertaining, and that will lead to more leads, generate leads, but it's a difference. Your outbound marketing, your outbound sales will generate the leads, whereas your content marketing will be your demand generation, because people are being informed and entertained, and they see you as a trusted authority and leader out there in the specific industry. So I know that this may sound weird, right? Because you're marketing, everything is supposed to be driving leads, everything's supposed to be making revenue for the company. But for your content marketing strategy, it needs to be about the true ultimate end goal. And that's becoming a thought leader in your space, which will drive demand generation. And there is a difference between both of them, right? Lead generation, demand. One's outbound, one's more inbound components of it. That's basically putting them further down that dreaded word funnel, right? Because they're actually taking an intent-based action to really talk to you, because you've driven that demand to them already. And they're ready to at least talk to you, to buy, purchase, whatever it might be. So the next thing you want to understand is who your audience is. And I ask this again, do you know exactly who your audience is? The answer is probably not. And I don't say this facetiously, right? I don't say this in a negative way. I say this as, don't think of your audience as the same old audience that it used to be, because every 6 months it might be changing a little bit. And so you need to get out there and do proper research. And, I'll be the first one to say this. It's extremely hard to figure out who your audience is. And it's extremely hard to keep up to figuring out who your audience is. But content marketing and your strategy behind that can help deliver it. And here's how. As you're putting out more and more content, the audience that's engaging with your content becomes your audience, right? So you get to understand a little bit more about their demographic information, about who they are and what they want, what they are seeking. And that's probably the biggest part that you need to understand. So to go about it, you have to, start in persona buckets. And I'll be the first to admit, way back in the day, I wasn't a big fan of personas, but that's because they were trying to put them into these buckets that didn't really make sense. But as persona marketing graduated and evolved, it became more hyper personalized. And that is the type of persona marketing and bucketing that you want to actually put your audience in, because one part of your audience in this specific category within this specific section of your organization, right, may be interested in this. And then another part, this. it becomes time consuming, but the more that you can personalize your content based off of that, right? Optimize those hashtags as you're starting to distribute it, the better you will be. So the next part that you want to do is audit and repurpose your previous content. You've got a gold mine of information, hopefully, right? You have a gold mine of information that you've already produced. What you want to do is audit that and see if any of it really needs to be updated. For example, pre-COVID, there's probably a lot from a marketing standpoint that you need to update for any information that you put out there, because marketing and sales has drastically changed, right? Word of mouth has drastically changed. Trade shows and events have drastically changed. So we need to make sure that we're auditing the previous content and then repurposing them. Take that gold mine that you already have and repurpose it. It will also help you figure out your new audience, or maybe it's the same old audience, right? But repurpose what you already have, and that would be the first strategy I would start with. The second part of auditing it means, have you actually produced that content in the multiple media? So what do we mean by that? We mean, for the most part, every single organization out there creates a blog, an article. That's it. Well, what about repurposing that into a podcast, or repurposing that into a video? You need to go through all of that, because everybody consumes information differently. And so until you actually understand who's consuming what the most and how and where, you need to produce it in all of those channels. It's not as hard as you think, right? Again, this article was produced. Now I'm making a video about it, going through the higher points of it, and then they can read the article for finer details. All of this then is repurposed and distributed into our podcast as well, because people consume how they want to, when they want to, not how you want to and when you want them to. So remember, it's all about what's in it for me as the end user, and you need to put yourself in their shoes to figure out how you're supposed to be putting your strategy together. One thing that I've always found helpful, especially from a strategy standpoint, is developing monthly content themes. Our theme this month, right, is content marketing. Next is distribution, and then so on. And so we have come up with our 12 months of themes. However, they can change, right? The world changes. It doesn't mean that you have to have that set in stone, but it will give you an idea to say, okay, our content that we're producing now needs to be about X, Y, and Z. Great. At least I know that, because then I can dig into that a little bit more, create that content, and move on from there. But as users engage, as they ask questions, you'll probably have some different content that will pop up, and that's great. Then you can just switch around your actual monthly themes if you want to. One thing that you also want to take into account that's going to be huge for this year and moving forward is, you don't have to create everything. Why? Why would you create everything? That's extremely time consuming. You've got another gold mine. Your attendees, your members, your exhibitors, all of which have content that they're producing too. So why not create user-generated content on specific themes? Because we know that if they're writing it, their people want to know about it. And so if their people want to know about it, then everyone else that's a member will want to know about that too. So don't overthink everything. Don't think that you have to do all the work. User-generated content is going to be humongous, if not already. So keep that in mind. Diversify your content. I don't mean this as, diversification itself. What we mean is what we stated before. Diversifying means creating it in multiple mediums. So you've got your written, your video, your audio, and then creating snippets of it, right? Bite-sized pieces of information that are being distributed throughout the entire year, because that 1 minute or that 5 minutes of your video could hit home for this person, and then another version for this person. Your entire content's not going to resonate with everybody. And so creating those bite-sized informations and diversifying it on video, written, and audio is going to be important for you moving forward. Again, it sounds like a lot of work. It's really not. I mean, it is. We do it. But I know that you can do it if you put the time in too. If not, we'll help you. Not a sales pitch, sorry. So distribute your content effectively. Oof, this is a hard one. So how are you distributing it? And time again, what we hear is this. We post it on our social channels and we email it once. Great. And what else? The answer is nothing. And we hear crickets and, ghost whispers coming across the screen. That's not effective distribution. In fact, that's incorrect distribution because you're hoping that that one-time send, right, and that one-time post is going to garner the actual interest in that piece of content. And that's not just going to happen. And that's for a couple of reasons. We need to understand this. When you post it on social, it does not mean that all 830 of our followers are going to see it. We need to constantly post it. And that's why we do the snippets of that information, right? Because as we're constantly posting different variations of the content, it's going to be sent to different people that are followers, right? And so that's how you optimize the distribution on social of your content, written, video, and podcast, okay? When you're emailing it out, you want to do the same thing. As you segment your audience, you want to understand that this person is interested in this person is interested in this, and so you send out your content that way. Another way is for any single lead generation, right? First, we're talking about content marketing, but the number one thing that you need to start doing for your lead generation, your outbound push for attendees, for members, for exhibitors, for business leads altogether, outside of even the event industry, your B2B, right? So B2B and events, everything needs to come together in this one statement here. Your lead generation needs to include a piece of relevant content for your audience, because 14 touch points it takes in order for them to realize that they want to at least talk to you. One of them has to at least be content, otherwise they will not trust you. You need to be a trusted authority in your space by delivering content in order for them to even talk to you nowadays. Keep that in mind. So the next thing that you want to do is analyze your metrics, right? Do you have a goal in mind to effectively, analyze it, right? Are you set up with your Google Analytics? Are you set up with your social analytics to be able to see what's working, what's not from social side of it? So to effectively do this, there's automations that can do all of this. You can even use data tools like Google Data Studio, right? Just bloop, plug it in. There's paid connectors. There's everything along those lines. But here's a few key ones that I want you to keep in mind. Website traffic, right? One, we need to understand as we're distributing the content from our marketing, right? We want to understand, is it bringing people back to our website, right? Are we getting the click-throughs, or are we just getting the views on social, which is great. We still want that. We still want that. Say it again. We still want that for the views on social, because that's a touch point. And as they begin to grow and understand your organization more, it will click back through. Okay. But we want to understand the website traffic. Are they new? Are they returning? Right. This will help us understand what's working. Next is social media engagement. Are you actually getting the likes, the shares, the comments? Right. Let's not look for the vanity ones of the likes, but are people sharing your content because they think it's worthy? Right. Is it shareable? That's number one thing when you're putting content together. The next part is, are they asking you questions, engaging, commenting? Could be on your actual blog post. Are there questions being asked? You're not going to get this right away. It's going to take a long time. So we need to understand that as we put this entire strategy together. Keyword ranking. Are you tracking your SEO, right? Are you tracking your ability for long tail and short tail keywords to figure out, is my content effectively working to not just drive us to the first page of Google, but really any search pages when someone types out something, in a long tail keyword and you pop up. So you need to understand that. And then obviously at the end of the day, it's conversions, right? Your end goal is not build leads and drive revenue. Your end goal is to become a thought leader, to build trust, which then drives leads and revenue. But you do have to understand, is your blog post, is your video, is it helping to actually convert and drive leads? So you do want to make sure that you're tracking that too. So in the end, concluding all of this, what I want to say is one thing. Content marketing is not a 3-month, 6-month, 12-month strategy. It is a continuously improving strategy that takes multiple years to become a thought leader. You need to have the buy-in from the very top to make sure that you become that thought leader, and that the strategy behind all of this is to become that thought leader, because ultimately from a long view, right, long-term goal, it's going to benefit you greatly. That's all we have for today. I will see you next time.